Hello, my name is Lucas, this is a bit of Lit, and I'm here to talk about Sinclair Lewis's It Can't Happen Here, which was published in 1935, and much like the rest of his work, is a deeply critical satire of what's going on in America at the time. Of course, Sinclair Lewis gained a lot of popularity and fame through his works like Elmer Gantry, or more importantly, Main Street, Babbitt especially, Aerosmith as well, satirizing middle class, upper class, middle upper class issues, and then with Elmer Gantry, Americans' gravitation towards ideologue, megalomaniac, cult of personality type figure, but that's not the point. This book satirizes fascism and is all about fascism coming to America through the democratic process, not through any coups of any kind, but through the democratic process, fair and square. Anyway, Sinclair Lewis wrote a totally different book from the rest of his work because this came shortly after the Great Depression, and his other work, other than Elmer Gantry, which is a little bit different from the other ones, does a lot to criticize basically the people who are reading the books. However, everyone's been economically ruined by the Great Depression, essentially. So you're beating a dead horse at that point. They want to, if they're going to read, if they can afford to get a book, they're going to want to read something else. And so he did his research into... Hello, my name is Lucas, this is a bit of Lit, and I'm here to talk about It Can't Happen Here, written by Sinclair Lewis. This is a fantastic satire published in 1935, which takes quite a different subject matter than the rest of Sinclair Lewis's work that came before this, particularly Main Street or Babbitt or Aerosmith or something like that, where he's sort of satirizing upper middle class issues and people, and and just American quirks and that kind of thing, and trying to get people riled up and make them laugh at the same time. This is a horrifying book because it's all about fascism coming to America through the democratic process. Sound familiar? Tragically prophetic in a sense. Although I would say a lot of his work does kind of show how this could happen. I mean, even with Elmer Gantry, which is a great book about, American obsession with a cult of personality, a figurehead of in religion or in business or whatever. That kind of thing. Quite a different book from this, but that sort of sensibility does also show through here, and ties very well to what goes on in It Can't Happen Here, because we have a character who's a Democrat in the beginning. Buzz Berzelius, I believe is his proper name. Buzz Windrip, who challenges FDR to be the Democrat up for nomination for the presidency, and then wins against the Republican, something Trowbridge, I'm forgetting the first name, but he gains a lot of popularity through big promises and sort of kind of way a facade of relatability to the common man, sort of a hidden type of figure that is not really noticed, and basically makes a big point that every family will get $5,000, which would really help families, especially after the Great Depression. I mean, it had been years at this point, yes, but who's going to turn down $5,000 for their family, especially in the 30s? That would have been worth a tremendous amount of money. I mean, $5,000 now is still nice, but anyway, uh, he's got all these nice ways of relating to people and having a connection to his audience and voters, and promises really great things to his voters. However, his ideas are not necessarily, or at all, in fact, feasible, but that doesn't matter because the most important thing is that it feels right, you know? And, you know, he's got a way of connecting and getting people to react, be very reactionary and vote him in. And it takes all of 8 days for everything to change in the political landscape. Whether it's dissent, being criminalized, I couldn't think of that word, states' rights essentially dissolving because each part of the country is now divided into sectors, essentially, and run by certain people. And different kinds of things. Minorities and women lose rights, and just on and on and on. All the things that you could ever imagine that a fascist would do, Buzz Windrip and the corporatists, the corpo regime, do. A huge part of this book is criticizing and satirizing, there's a better word for it, but criticizing and satirizing capitalism as well, in a sense, but not too much, because it also criticizes and satirizes communism in a sense. Our main character, Doremus Jessup, or Dormus, he's called Dormouse, so maybe it's Dormus, but I'm going to say Doremus, because that's how I was reading it. Doremus Jessup is a resistor, so to speak. He doesn't quite agree, doesn't want to take too strong of an action. He sees some danger in that, but doesn't quite agree or doesn't really agree at all with the corporal regime. Is pretty critical of it, but not enough, I suppose, before things come to fruition. Much stronger, especially after he gets jailed and has to run away to Canada after he gets out. And then he joins an organization, an underground organization, to promote resisting the corporate regime, which, of course, falls into disarray when public support of Buzz Windrip falls to critical levels because he can't back up the promises that he made. And so there's a coup, which leaves a huge power vacuum, which is followed by another coup, which leads to a civil war. And it's just a disaster. It's quite a funny book. And then when it's not funny, it's absolutely scary and horrifying. And also, you know, if you've been following the news in the past 6 years, 7 years or so, you will feel like, wait a second, I've seen that one before. Why do you have the gift of prophecy, Sinclair Lewis? I really enjoy Sinclair Lewis's work. I enjoy this just as much as Elmer Gantry. I think Elmer Gantry is a little bit a little bit more enjoyable. It's a little less scary. But this is a great work. I highly recommend it. If you want to see some old school satire of fascists, it's sort of a breath of fresh air because, of course, you know, people like Stephen Colbert or Jimmy Kimmel or somebody, some late night talk show host, Seth Meyers or whatever, in America at least, they have their way of, different ways, but very similar. They have their ways of satirizing the fascists of modern America. But yeah, this is well done, very scary, and I love it. Thank you.